everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. This webinar will focus on post-M&A integration and business scaling through coaching. My name is Daniela Aneva, and I'm a Master Certified Coach by International Coach Federation. I'm also a coach supervisor and mentor coach accredited by EMCC. I work as a team coach, and I have that senior accreditation both from EMCC and International Coach Federation. I myself have about more than 23 years of corporate experience and 13 of them as a coach. I've been going for 2 master degrees throughout my life and served as senior director, chief operating officer, VP on different positions across the globe, holding responsibility for multinational companies. Throughout my career, or at least earlier in it, I was recognized for some of the best leaders under 40 years in North America. I served as Director of Professional Development in one of the European ICF chapters. I was Chief Operating Officer and Chief Executive Officer on a nonprofit related to the developing of young people and diversity and inclusion activities. Generally, a lot of experience around post-M&A integrations and scaling, as my life went a lot through stages of supporting organizations to scale from almost zero to enterprise. Some of my biggest achievements in M&As are post-M&A integration with 1% attrition, which I believe everybody who has experience into this field knows it's quite difficult to achieve. And what stands behind the secret of this is something that I'm going to share with you today, because I actually applied a lot of the techniques that we're going to discuss in the case studies throughout this webinar today. Just to mention briefly that if you're interested more in succeeding in any business, you can have a look or pre-order my new book in co-author with Brian Tracy, who is a popular name with a significant experience in leadership development throughout the years. I'm so happy that Brian and myself were able to go through that book together. The main points for us today are to discuss the post-M&A integration through coaching and mentoring, so business scale through coaching and mentoring, challenges organizations face, and tools to use in order to succeed in the both. M&A and post-M&A integrations can be very complex challenges for organizations, especially when they're integrating teams from different cultures and different locations. Team coaching can facilitate this integration process by providing support and guidance to both the existing and newly formed teams. By focusing on improving and developing the trust, setting up the norms, working on communication, collaboration between the teams, team coaching can guarantee a smooth transition. Merger and acquisitions are a very interesting topic. The post-M&A process includes mapping of cultures. While the organizations more or less are aware of the cultural fit, the business outcomes and business needs are the biggest focus for them. And majority of the times, they're prioritizing these findings. So if there is a product or a service that is very competitive on the market, organizations sometimes take a decision to risk on culture, but still acquire this competitor of theirs. Then things become even more difficult and complex. A lot of times, the owners or the C-level executives from the acquired organization becomes members of the new executive team as well. So while this is happening, that actually means that the executive team of the acquiring organization, no matter how large and sustainable it is, become a new team. The owners of the acquired organization are usually also shareholders, and the executive teams of the acquiring organization not necessarily have that, all of them, the same status. This can bring certain interesting dynamics in play. On the top of it, the acquiring company is now scaling. In some cases, it increased its size to 30%, maybe even more, which is leading the organization a completely different stage of their growth. It requires a lot of strong layers of leadership to be able to handle it. A lot of times, roles, responsibilities, organizational structure are evolving based on those M&As, and positions of leaders from the acquiring organizations shift tremendously on both positive and negative side. This again introduces numerous risks. The first risk is obviously disappointing your key players, who organizations, however, are relying on in order to be able to prevent attrition or lead the integration itself. Another challenge is that new leaders joining from the acquired organization are obviously now becoming team and peers with those leaders. So team coaching on that levels can also be quite beneficial in order to speed up the integration process and be able to become more efficient. I'll give you an interesting case study here that I would love to discuss with you later on in the Q&As. Company A is a technology company that was recently acquired by a larger player in the space. Company A has 250 employees in 3 regions. Most of the people know each other, and culture is rather informal. Processes are blurry, as getting things done is way more important than following a specific process or a path. Rewards are distributed when the owners decide that somebody has achieved something and they would like to appreciate and recognize them, and personal relationships are the fast track to the promotion. Is it familiar? Company B has already 4,000 employees. They have strong leadership, regional presence, and follow processes, as the only way to control 4,000 people across the globe is to follow operational standards. And now in our case, the company B is acquiring the company A because there is a market that they're interested in and a territory that they would like to step in. This IPO has been planned and is rolled out now, while the current CEO, Chief Technical Officer, and marketing officers from Company A are now going to join the executive board of Company B. I'll be curious to hear later in the Q&A your comments and thoughts around this case study. But let me give you some ideas on how we can apply coaching, executive coaching, and team coaching, particularly in this case, and why these are tools that can support tremendously the post-M&A integration process. While Company A has their strategy, but yet very informal relationships, the CEO who is now going to join Company B is an owner. As I said earlier in this session, usually in that cases, the investors, the owners, continue acquiring certain percentage with the acquisition, or at least maintain a special status in organizations. So by this individual joining the executive team of company B, that is automatically putting him in an advantage comparing to the rest of the executives. Now, let me return you back here to the case so I don't lose you. Chief Technical Officer of Company B, of Company A, apologies, is joining Company B as well. Chief Technical Officer is a very strategic position because, as you can imagine, this is a technology company. So what happens with the current Chief Technical Officer is that their position migrated and shifted to Chief Digital Officer because certain promises during the acquisition journey has been made to this new joiner. So one dynamic is already clear. The current CEO of the acquired company keeps some shares, gets new status, and joins the acquiring company. Chief Technical Officer replaces the current Chief Technical Officer who led 4,000 people across the globe up to now, and his position moved into Chief Digital Officer. Chief Marketing Officers from Company A are also joining the organization. Chief Marketing Officer is a role where all the promotion activities of the organization really stands. It seems that they are coming with the flexibility of a smaller organization, abilities to get approval on budgets based on their close relationship with the CEO and executive board. And this individual is used to be able to drag people to participate on conferences, events, without following any specific path. Another dynamic is now introduced. Let's look at the layers of need for team coaches to step in. First of all, now this organization, which went through this massive acquisition, is probably going to have a challenge with their strategy. Some questions will come up from the new joiners. Those new joiners are not used to following any processes and probably don't have experience with the volume of revenue that is in operations every single month. So there is additional risk for operations from wrong decisions. Not to disregard the complexity of the relationships and the dynamics introduced by having the shift in the roles in their main product offering, technology. So team coaching on executive level here is going to save a lot of time, money, confusion, and mistakes for this acquiring company. This new business needs our help as coaches, because I'm not saying they cannot resolve their situation or cannot work on it, but it will take months, and sometimes it takes years until this organization settles. And you can imagine on executive level, if there are disagreements and lack of alignment in strategies, how is this going to impact the broader organization? Silos are already talking about this. The Chief Technical Officer was replaced. Some of the key leaders underneath this position are already disappointed and are searching across the web for a new job. By introducing team coaching and aligning this executive team, we will be reaching the efficiency the team needs to show for way more shorter time. At the same time, we'll address the attrition because of all of the silences and feelings of disappointment. But let's dig even more. On the layer underneath these people, there are a lot of changes that are going to happen. While company A was a small company, rather flexible and informal, relationship-based, now they have to get used to processes. They need to get used to approval for any kind of activities, even public speaking or some insignificant budgets. This is going to slow their operations, and you will be able to hear frequently them commenting that, well, we became very bureaucracy took over. And people become disappointed because this flexibility was taken away from them. A lot of times, leaders were able to take decisions that are with significant strategic importance. While now, they have to actually ask for an upper level approval and probably start using some systems. This is going to cause a lot of challenges on every single layer of the organization. So by introducing executive team coaching, individual coaching to key positions within the company A, will be preventing some of this to happen. A lot of this attrition to be stopped, and the results and the efficiency to come way faster. Now let's look at company B. A lot of promises probably has been made there. People were waiting for promotions, some people were waiting for positions, and were hoping to acquire certain clients or part of the product development. By acquiring the new company, as part of this acquisition process, a lot of promises and signatures has been put on particular positions, particular promotions, and particular packages. This is very disappointing from the employees who are proudly and loyally serving the acquirer company. From my experience, I can even share situations where a position of global head of position of regional leadership has been part of the deal. So unfortunately, in those large acquiring companies, the decisions has been made to give up on certain promotions of their most loyal people. And those loyal people do not really understand it. Organizations fail to communicate why they are not good enough for that role while they prove themselves for years. Yet, another person will be joining and taking this role, which actually is going to impact the culture, the process, the direction, the strategy of those departments, which employees might not necessarily agree with. Some leadership, executive, and corporate, maybe even team coaching on those levels can help address this confusion, disappointment, and align the direction. Frequently, what is happening is that positions like the chief marketing officer who are joining executive teams are becoming rather disappointed from what is happening in large organizations. I almost hear this person coming up and saying, you know, they're not allowing me to do my job. Yes, because now they will not have the relationships that their career was built on. They need to follow processes, win against supporters, and people will probably not be that happy that this person landed on such a high role without really climbing the ladder. So there is this feeling of pushing back and almost defensiveness from the organization towards individuals like that who landed on high positions. That can lead to resignation of this person and loss of an important expert. This also can lead to a lot of internal frustrations and disappointments. And you can see now our beliefs of disappointments, of disagreements, of frustration, of uncertainty that this all change is introducing are provoking our behaviors. And our behaviors are leading to certain decisions and the way we show ourselves in front of the world. So if you ask all of these people that are part of this case study, they all have one and the same value and the same goal. They would like this organization to work. They would like to be appreciated, respected, to have opportunities to grow. But yet, their behaviors will not be aligned with their values because of the frustrations and feelings underneath. Well, this is what coaching and mentoring actually are going to address. We can help individuals to understand and adapt to the new company cultures and values. In a lot of cases, when the M&A is large, we as coaches will help them actually reset their culture, reintroduce their norms, and recreate their value system. We will provide guidance and support to individuals and teams during the transition process. We'll help them manage the change and transition. Organizations have their internal change managers, project managers, and integration managers, but they're usually focused on the project management, internal processes integrations, and a lot more on the technical side. Coaching can support deeply this process by speeding it up tremendously. And as a result, introduce not only cost savings, but actually tremendous benefits and return of investment. We facilitate communication and collaboration between different teams and departments, helping managing conflicts, building trust among teams, and obviously trust leads to results. Cannot talk enough about efficiency. By introducing mentoring and coaching, there is an enhancement in team performance and productivity. Foster shared vision and goals between executive teams, remove silos, and ensure integration between different team cultures. Later on the Q&A, I'll be curious to hear, does anybody have experience with post-M&A integration, application of team coaching, mentoring, and executive and leadership coaching? And what were the results you've seen? Now, let's continue. Business scale is something that is on the table of every successful organization. No matter if your business is local and you've seen that you are finding an amazing niche and you need to grow in the next state or neighboring country, or you're a large organization that is thinking about massive global expansion on a different continent, maintaining effective layer of leadership, aligned culture and values are extremely important. By the way, when you introduce franchise models and go on the transition between regular operations to franchise operations, this becomes even more important. Because both the layer in the organization that is responsible for business scale and expansion, or the layer that will be responsible for introducing and managing the franchisors, have one and the same most important quality: aligned culture, strong leadership, and amazing collaboration. Why is this so important? Well, because scaling to a new country means the organization is going to be challenged on all single levels of operations. There is a different legislation, different financial requirements, different customer expectations, different employee expectations and culture, different market competition and challenges, economical, environmental, how the organization can become sustainable in order to go through this expansion process. When you give franchise to other organizations, how can you control that they maintain the same quality of your product towards your customers and don't really kill your brand? Because customers don't really care if you're expanding business in another country, if you're signing franchise contracts, and if you're having your operational challenges. Their expectations are really high, especially nowadays within competitive environment, believe. So organizations have to invest into ensuring the sustainability, efficiency, and smooth, I cannot underline more this word, smooth operations on that layer. Well, but let's look at our case study, how things can actually go wrong. Company B is in the growth stage. After the acquisition of Company A, they are now hoping to expand on those locations and become a market leader. Their growth KPIs are aggressive and their strategy is set to achieve an impressive 45% growth during the next year. They lack leaders, so their leadership layer is not ready to handle the scale and the growth. Their succession planning is falling behind, and they need to multiply the efficiency that their top performers are currently showing, but the ramp up of a new joiner is taking at least a year of investment. Company B also predicts attrition based on the acquisition. Usually this is about 20 to 25%. Always mind that. Obviously, market is another factor. There is a big cultural difference between the current location where they operate and the new locations they acquired. Also, they were well-known business in a sustainable market. They were a market leader. And in the new markets, they're simply an organization that is just starting their journey. So what are the challenges of this organization? Obviously, being on a growth stage, that usually means from organizational development standpoint that the structure falls behind the growth. That means that succession planning initiatives become crucial. The organization lacks these initiatives because they probably focus their work more on areas like operations, clients, acquisition, and so, which are not less important, but should be looked at with equal importance. Now, they're expanding to a new location, and not even one, but several at the same time due to the acquisition. The decision for this acquisition was made exactly because of that reasons. They didn't want it to organically grow from this new location and have to slow down their growth, as being a market leader in one location means that they had to take a strategic decision. Would they use the fact that they are operating in a niche where they don't have significant competition and scale quickly, before somebody else takes this initiative, copy their idea and kick it off. So they've taken this risk and now they're expanding. The caveat here is that in order to be able to aggressively expand, you need a leadership layer in order to handle this. Now, the acquired company, company A, has their own leadership. But what are the challenges in front of this organization is that their leadership was aligned with their company values. They were aligned with their company culture. And this is not necessarily the one that company B, being sustainable and large organization, is looking for. So if they purely rely on the leadership on this acquired organization, they might badly fail because their culture might turn into a completely different culture eventually. There is even more. This small organization that has been acquired doesn't really have the experience, leadership, and knowledge of scaling and developing. How can we expect them to deliver? This means setting up the whole organization and this leadership layer for failure. The 20-25% of attrition post-acquisition is another challenge, especially if your succession planning is not in place. The big cultural differences are going to impact this organization badly. So what we can suggest is team coaching initiatives that will roll up for all local expansion teams, all the acquired teams in the new market, and some of the cross-organizational, cross-departmental team coaching initiatives that can help bridge the gap between where these organizations were and where they are going to be. Now, let's look at another important layer. Building successors means not only hiring somebody who has good performance and just putting them in a key position. It also means knowledge transfer. It also means knowledge sustainability. If organization A was small, rather informal, and didn't have a proper processes, we can easily question what was the knowledge transfer base. So that would mean that by introducing mentoring and individual coaching, we can support the organization to download some of these knowledges into something more sustainable and scalable as a model. Looking at the big picture, planning the future, and ensuring scalability and efficiency would be the outcomes of coaching and mentoring here, with a tremendous return of investment during the scale and the business growth. Now, what are we going to do by introducing mentoring and coaching in this scaling process? Let me just move my photo from here so you can easily see. By introducing mentoring and coaching, and particularly team coaching, we'll be building a strong foundation of the scale and the growth. We'll be developing a growth mindset, which is completely crucial for expansion. We'll be building strong relationships, managing complexity, and sustaining this growth. By coaching the teams, the executives, and the leaders, we'll be achieving a common vision, common values, common norms, and culture. We'll address disagreements and conflicts and ensure business outcomes as a result. Now, I'm open for the Q&As. I'm excited to continue discussing this topic around M&A integrations and business expansions with you later. My name is Daniela Aneva, and I'm executive and team coach with a significant experience in organizational development, merge acquisitions, and new market expansion. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you. Feel free to contact me. Thank you. Here we go. Yes, so happy to address any questions from the participants. I hope my presentation wasn't very complex for you, but very open to discuss any thoughts that you might have.
Yes, I think it's very professional.
Thank you.
Yeah. 那如果大家就是在座的各位有什么问题，可以直接问，或者是打在就是聊天框里。So here is a question. Because we are live streaming at the moment, so maybe some audience may type some questions from different platforms, not only in Zoom. So here's the question. So what are the respective challenges when you're doing the executive coaching and team coaching? So I will translate first, and then you can answer. 第一个问题是，在 Daniela 做高管教练和导师辅导的时候，或者是做团队教练和导师辅导的时候，就是他各自遇到的挑战是什么？
Just to ensure I understand it, what are the challenges when we introduce team coaching and executive coaching? Is that the question?
Yes, so you can explain firstly the executive coaching challenges, and then I translate, and later you can answer the team coaching challenges, and then I can translate. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So depending on the situation where you currently are operating in, executive coaching challenges can be quite a lot. Team coaching challenges can be quite a lot as well. Let me give you some space to translate.
Yes. 这依赖就是取决于你遇到的各种情景。关于高管的教练和导师辅导呢，其实遇到的困难是很多的，和挑战是很多的。当然，团队教练和导师辅导也会遇到很多的挑战。
Now, for the post-M&A integration, the executive coaching challenges are mostly, first of all, around the buy-in from the executive. So it's quite difficult for us to convince executive teams that they actually need executive coaching first.
Yes， 首先就是关于高管教练这一方，其实最难挑战是在于买方就是并购买方往往他们是很难说服这些教练往往是很难说服这些高层去使用教练技术的。
The other challenge is that if executives haven't gone through coaching, they would expect more to receive training from somebody who will be guiding them more around soft skills and how to handle their leadership interactions purely. While coaching is a lot more and a lot deeper for what is.
Yeah. 如果就是该公司的高管，他之前没有接触过很多的关于教练或是导师辅导的东西的话，他可能会需要花更多的时间和更多的精力，或是之前就是更希望有人会花更多的时间和精力去给他们做了预先的辅导或者是指导，关于就是如何就是发挥好自己的软性技能和是领导力。那如果是引用了 coaching 技术、导师技术的话，其实就会更深入的去就是发挥到这些效能和这些领导力。
And to be completely honest, being able to blend mentoring and corporate experience with coaching is probably the ideal solution for organizations like that.
所以说，就是成为一个企业的导师或者是教练，其实是一个帮助这个企业非常理想的一种方式。
For team coaching, very brief response. Team coaching is very new, and it requires a lot of experience from the team coach that is running this engagement. So they have to play the role of a consultant, facilitator, team builder, team coach majority of the time. And because this is a rather new service, also teams are not used to it. It requires a lot of explanation, clarification on the process.
那团队教练呢，其实是一项非常新兴的职业或者是一种角色。那它其实要求教练要有更多的经验更多的参与度。那有时候呢，它不仅仅是作为一个教练角色，它可能更多的可能会参与到咨询角色、协助者角色和团队就是帮助团队团建的角色。那它很多时候它是一种服务性的工作。所以呢，他更加需要更多的精力和时间去给就是团队和这个公司进行更多的解释。
I'm not sure if I responded fully on the question. Feel free to ask if you need some clarification or additional response.
Yes. Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you.
So I can see here's another question. So I think when a mentor or coach firstly intervene into those companies' integration, so what are the best 3 features or abilities mentors and coaches should have can quickly get executives' trust?
I love this question. First is experience.
Would you mind my translating first?
Oh, of course, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. 第二个问题是，当导师或者是教练第一次介入到就是公司的并购过程当中的时候，那他这位导师和教练应该拥有的最佳的3个性格特质或者是3大能力是什么？就是可以让该公司的高管能够迅速的相信他。
Yeah, so the first thing is they certainly need to look for somebody who has experience. M&A integration and scale, both of these scenarios are very challenging. I'll give you some space to translate.
所以第一个主要的能力是要是足够经验的、很资深的，因为在并购后的过程，那个整合过程当中，你会遇到非常非常多的挑战。
So experience with change management, which majority of coaches have, but within the context of such a massive transformation, it's probably the first thing for them to look at.
首先就是关于变革管理的经验，或者是大量的就是变革性管理的经验，是就是导师或教练要具有的。
Now, the second quality they should be looking at is the business understanding of the mentor and coach. It's very difficult for somebody who doesn't really have any idea of how complex organizational development functions to be able to catch up with the decisions that will be made, with the process that has been made, and the contracts that are happening in this particular moment within the organizations.
Yeah. 那第二点就是这个导师和教练，他必须要有商业意识。那他就是如果他没有就是这种意识和这种理念， 他其实很难去理解，就是关于企业内发生的事情，就比如说是怎么样去决策的呀，那就是商业的那些流程是什么呀，然后我们合同的那些签署啊，契约的建立是怎么样的。
And the last one I would really suggest is inclusivity. And why I believe inclusion is so important. Inclusion is about your ability to listen and to accept the person as they are, literally meet them where they are. And that skill of a coach and a mentor is crucial because at this moment, they need to be able to purely understand the state of mind where each of these participants on executive or leadership level are going through.
Yeah. 第三点，我觉得，第三点是包容性，这是一项非常重要的能力，它需要你能够学会倾听，学会包容，学会接受。那学会接受每个参与者原本的他，那这是一项导师和辅导技能中非常关键的就是技能，那就是要完全的去理解他作为那个人，他的思想是什么样的。
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, I think the third question is from mine. Yeah. It's based on the picture I shared here. So can you see the picture here?
Yep.
Yes. So when you do the coaching regarding the integration part, I think you must confront many cultures. So, but I believe everyone may has its subconscious bias to different cultures. As you can see from the tacit knowledge onion, so I think the culture is related to our values, beliefs, and views. So it's based on the superconscious level. It's very hard to reach and to understand. So I was wondering, how do you deal with this bias, your bias, or others' bias, and different perspectives to various culture, whatever in daily life or in the corporate integration process? Thank you.
Thank you. Should I wait for you to translate?
Yes. 大家可以看到屏幕上的一张图，是关于隐形知识管理的一个洋葱图。那它这个介绍了人，他有很多意识。那一个是有很多不同层次的意识。第一个是意识阶段的，还有就是潜意识阶段的，还有潜在意识阶段的，那还有超然意识阶段的。那我刚刚想问的问题是，在就是做教练辅导和导师辅导过程中，那一定你会就是尤其是参与到并购后的那个融合的阶段，你会遇到很多很多的文化冲突要处理这些问题。那就是当然，我觉得就有时候人他多多少少都会有属于自己的一些小偏见，对于不同的文化或是对于不同的人的理解。那我想知道，Daniela在她的工作中，或者是在她的生活当中，是怎么样处理自己的潜意识的偏见，或者是说潜意识的一些不同的观点，或者是别人的偏见，或者是别人的那些不同的见解和观点的呢？当然，就是如果大家对这个隐形知识管理感兴趣，其实可以联系我们，因为我们是就是这幅图是我们就是公司的一个专家他提出来的。
Well, I love this
Yes,
question because
yes.
what you're asking here is everything I tried to explain during this presentation. Because the processes of the post-M&A integration between the two companies are set in a project management file. And some of them are saying like, oh, our culture includes these 5 values. Usually they're around thoughtfulness, openness, respect, and so. The others are looking at their values on paper and say, you know, our values are rather similar. So it seems our cultures are mapping well. Let's just combine this into one model. Or when the acquiring company is more aggressive, they simply say, these are our values, and they copy paste them into the new organization. And this is more or less the base of the change. And then certain trainings are initiated from the both sides in order for people to try to understand the new culture. But this all happens in this upper layer of consciousness on your tacit diagram over here. And this doesn't work because people have to recognize these new cultures. They have to work with their biases towards this new culture. They have to work with their beliefs and narratives about the change. So how can you do that? Well, you address them through reflection, through space, through listening, through inclusive opportunities for them to be who they are, to express even their fears, to be aware of the changing curve and navigate the organization through the changing curve with the expertise of shifting around based on the specific organizational or leadership team or individual need. So this is how you address the biases through coaching and mentoring. Now, we as coaches frequently have our own biases. And I work as a team coaching supervisor, an individual supervisor, and I help a lot of my colleagues to try to avoid these biases. But even though I myself find myself being in situations where I am biased into something, and this is very natural, we are human beings. So being able to have a space of reflection and space of realization of your own behaviors, your own beliefs, and your own actions is really, really crucial. And this is why this time to think, space to brainstorm, space to reflect is so, so important. And this is what we as coaches also deliver. I'm not sure if I responded to your question.
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah, I think it's good.
Thank you.
So 刚刚达丽拉解释到就是关于就是 bias 这个问题，那就是当他在就是团队就是并购后的这个介入当中，并购后整合的介入当中，就有2个公司当然就是并购的公司和被并购的公司。那这2个公司之间呢，他们各自有各自的文化，就像我们这幅图上所显示的，就是意识上面的，就是意识层面的，那就是最明确的方面的，就是关于公司的一些 papers 文件，还有一些就是指令或者是一些指导等等，他们是明文确定的就比如说 A 公司它有5项就是最崇尚的价值观，那 B 公司它可能有5项最崇尚的价值观，那可能他们就会之间产生冲突了，这也是非常有挑战性的。然后在这种过程当中就是在并购过程当中，那可能并购的那一方他就可能会更加的强势一些，他就直接把自己的价值观形象的说就是直接很粗暴的，就是把自己写有自己价值观的就是文件直接就是贴在公司当中，那所有人都必须要遵循那当然呢，在这个产生的冲突之中呢，我们就需要就是教练和导师的介入，然后去进行变革管理，要继续花精力和时间去做训练去改变他们的意识，去改变他们的理解。那就是并且呢，我们要创造一个空间让他们去反思要让他们学会聆听，学会包容，然后会去接受每一个独特的个体他们的思想，而不只是强势性的就是自己是并购方就会要求大家遵循自己那一方的价值观。当然我们就是所以说在这个过程当中，教练辅导和导师辅导它充当了一个非常重要的过渡角色。那在生活当中呢他作为教练，他其实也有自己的偏见，当然他的同事也会，而且他们在做在工作和生活当中呢，他们尽量会去避免，因为就是由于 教练和导师这个角色，他们会有一些意识的去避免这些，但是还是不可避免的会陷入到自己的偏见当中。那但是他觉得这是很正常的，因为这是很自然的，因为我们就是人类，那人类他就是一种人性的存在，就是有自己的偏见。那最重要的是，一个就是我们要学会停下来，给自己创造一个空间去反思，自己的行为，反思自己的思想，反思自己的信念和观点。那这样是非常重要的，对于就是处理遇到的偏见或者是自己的一些偏见。
If you allow me just to add one more thing, as you can see on this diagram, there are a lot of reasons why a disappointed and demotivated person who works within your organization, especially on key position, might not deliver. Their feelings, their beliefs will navigate the know-how, so they will not share fully the know-how. Knowledge in action, they will not apply the knowledge in action. They will not go for problem solving. They will not share lessons. They will not share best practices. Their tips and tricks will stay in their mind. They will not share them. They will not literally share the expertise. So you're losing like significant portion of this if you don't address the post-M&A integration on the proper way.
Yeah, so 刚刚呢，就是达尼拉对于这幅图他发表了一些评价，就是在这个并购过程中一定要注意到一些就是关于经验技巧的传授然后就是各种各样的一些就是遇到的一些以前的那些经验要传授出去，不然的话就会造成很多的损失。所以说在辅导过程中，在并购过程中，那人的就是导师和教练的辅导的介入是非常重要的，因为它帮助了这些隐形知识和一些隐形的经验和智慧，去就是在代际之间，或者是在同事之间，在上级或者是下级之间传承，保质于这些经验和智慧不被流失。Yes, thank you very much, Daniela. I think due to the time limit, so our presentation, and the Q&A part is at the end. So later on, I will, later on I will write an email to you about our the webinar data to you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank you, first of all, for the translation and amazing support during this process. Then I would like to thank also the organization for inviting me for this webinar, but I also would like to thank all the participants here, everybody who asked questions, and all of those of you who will be listening to this recording later. Looking forward to connecting, and good luck in your post-M&A integration and scaling.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will introduce the next part.那刚刚感谢达尼拉为大家带来了非常精彩的、非常专业的关于导师和教练技术的一些演讲和一些经验的分享。那就是他也是一名非常资深的大师级的教练导师，所以如果就是在座的各位正在就是观看我们这次讲座的观众，如果您对作为一名专业导师或是企业导师感兴趣，您可以就是扫码先深度了解和咨询我们。我们非常欢迎您加入我们这一项没有天花板的事业。那在我们导师界呢，我们有5项金句。第一个是帮助你选对方向，导师的首要任务是帮助学员明确发展的方向。那方向错了，与结果会渐行渐远。方向明确之后，导师他会激励挖掘出学员的无限潜能，令其快速有效地达成目标。就比如说今天的讲座当中，Daniela她的 他作为导师和教练的介入，他帮助了该公司就是节省了不少的成本和精力，而且也帮助该公司扩大规模，提升业绩。那第二点是提升能量，能量的提升和事物的完成同时推进。那导师辅导过程，它不仅仅强调达成目标，它更注重在达成目标的过程中，学员能量级和状态的提升。那比如说在这次讲座当中呢，Daniela他有通过就是以导师和教练辅导的身份去介入到这个公司，帮助他们完成并购后的整合。那大家两个公司之间肯定会有不同的文化的冲突，那肯定会有很多矛盾的激生。那他通过这个身份可以帮助大家就是像一个融化剂一样，帮助大家一起朝一个共同的目标前进，让大家能量级得到提升。那第三点是激活资源，帮助学员发现并激活其内在和外在的资源。第四点是成果的量化，那导师辅导过程当中，关键绩效指标、关键行为指标和投资回报率都可被有效的计量和比较。那第五点就是隐形知识萃取，那这是我们专业导师辅导一个非常特色的技能。那懂得萃取的专业导师，不仅仅传承自己的经验和智慧，也可以通过萃取他人的技能传承给学员。那比如说刚刚我们在就是这个案例当中，那两个就是从来就是都没有认识、没有合作过的两个团队，如何能够在快速的在非常短暂的时间能够相互融合，互相知道对方在做什么，然后互相就是拧成一股麻绳，然后就是奋力向前呢？那就是我们隐形知识萃取就是导师那个特色技能起到了非常重要的作用。那如果您对就是这个 EMCC 国际认证导师感兴趣，请扫码。那我们11月份开课，同时您可以关注一下我们的微信 Mentoring Co 导师学员。关于我们下一期的讲座，我们的讲座主题是导师辅导如何实现自我的身心完整，是来自挪威的 Mariana， 她是 EMCC 欧洲导师与教练协会的大师级教练和督导。他也是一家公司叫做 Levitate Live 的总裁，他更是大名鼎鼎的麦肯锡公司的前主管。那您可以扫码预约。接下来要告诉大家一个好消息，就是组织隐形技能管理全球智库将在瑞士达沃斯11月份13号、14号举办第2届全球组织隐形知识管理达沃斯论坛。那我们 Mentoring Co 作为这个全球智库的理事，也会参与其中。那相信如果您对此次的活动感兴趣，请扫码。那如果您在直播间或者是在这次观看讲座，刚好在现场，那您可以就是直接扫码，可以有就免费获得此票的机会。那我们今天的讲座就暂时到这里结束了，感谢您的聆听。如果您觉得有价值，请不要忘记分享给您的同事或身边的人。当然，也请您留下非常宝贵的建议。